That's the one thing about our audience. They always want a new guy to break through the glass ceiling.
All you have to do is just be real.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am the jabroni beating, pie eating, trailblazing, eyebrow raising, talking is done, you're out of your class, no sleep till Brooklyn, The Rock whips your ass. Woo!
I wish you and King would quit talking.
Welcome to Around the Ring, episode 62 for today, Monday, September 5th, 2016. It is Labor Day here in the United States. Hope everyone enjoys their day. If you have the day off, hope you have a lot of fun. First of all, let's just kind of jump right into it. Last week, right as I was getting ready to do the show, news broke that Mr. Fuji, Harry Fujiwara, had passed away. And I didn't really have any time to talk about that last week. I didn't, because it literally happened right as I started to record. So I didn't mention it on last week's show, but I thought I should talk about it now. Mr. Fuji was in WWE for damn near ever. He was a wrestler. He was a longtime manager, which is what I knew him best from when he was managing teams like Demolition in the 80s. In the 90s, he managed Yokozuna. He did some great stuff with Don Morocco, and he passed away, and that's always sad. He had a long life. He was born in 1935, so he'd been around for quite a long time. So he was one of the best managers, probably top 20 best managers of all time, and he will be greatly missed. So Mr. Fuji, rest in peace. Let's go ahead and just jump into the shows for this week, and we'll kind of go from there. I also do want to talk about the Rolling Stone Golden Age of Wrestling podcast article, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. Plus, we have an announcement at the end of the show. Raw this week was from Houston, Texas. The show opened up with an in-ring interview segment with Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, Big Cass, and Seth Rollins. Corey Graves was doing the interviewing, and this was in preparation for the main event, which the Fatal 4-Way, which is going to be an elimination match to determine the new WWE Universal Champion. This was a pretty good segment. There were a lot of boos for Roman Reigns, lots of fight Owens fight chants. Kevin Owens was really over. This was a good segment. Seth Rollins' laugh is really getting on my nerves. And what else happened? It ended up in a brawl. Roman Reigns didn't talk at all. Kevin Owens asked him a question. He just sat there, and then he punched Kevin Owens, which is probably the best way to use Roman Reigns. But this was all right. We then had Neville versus Chris Jericho. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Neville's cape has got to go. It's awful. And Jericho is fantastic in this new heel role that he's doing. Right before the match, Jericho had a backstage interview with Tom Phillips. It was really funny, and this was a really good match. I mean, it is what you would hope. Neville and Jericho work well together. Jericho won with the old school Walls of Jericho lion tamer finish, where he digs his knee into the back of his opponent's head / upper back while he's got them in the Boston Crab. Pretty painful looking, but it was a good match. We then had Bayley backstage walking around hugging random people. She runs into the New Day. They're having fun. Then they're interrupted by Dana Brooke. Bayley with the New Day is solid gold. I mean, I love Bayley to death. We then had Nia Jax against a jobber. And there was a really cringeworthy backstage interview with the jobber. It was just awful. Nia won with some kind of variation of the Death Valley Driver, AA something or another. They need to pick a finisher with this girl and stick with it. It definitely does not need to be the leg drop. So whatever. We then got a Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows vignette. This, it's more comedy. This time, instead of about, being in a hospital, it's about a retirement home. They were joined by Dana Brooke, sorry. I don't know. Apparently, Luke Gallows' wife was not too fond of this. But, it is what it is. Yeah. Then we had a Seth Rollins vignette. They had a lot of vignettes. They had vignettes all night long of the 4 different participants in the main event. We then had Jinder Mahal against Sami Zayn. And Sami is still playing up on the ankle thing. And he's, there is a new merch at the WWE merch store. It's the Sami Zayn Scally Cap. I may actually have to get one of those because his hat is just a hat he found. He's been wearing it for years, as the story goes. And WWE is now marketing it with the little Sami Zayn logo on the back, which I think is actually kind of cool. I may have to buy one of those. And Sami wins. Jinder Mahal blows. We then had a Sasha Banks interview from the Raw pre-show. And Charlotte came out on commentary for the mixed tag of New Day and Bayley versus Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, and Dana Brooke. Charlotte's pretty much burying Dana on commentary the whole match, which was kind of awesome. And I actually kind of like Dana Brooke with Gallows and Anderson. I think that could be cool, because she is, while she's not very good in the ring, she's a pretty damn good talker. And if they set up the situation where they beat people up and then she just pats them on the head, and I think that could be pretty funny. And another thing, Carl Anderson has a great spine buster. And he better with the last name of Anderson. That's all I'm saying. Bayley and the New Day get the win. Bayley is actually the one who got the pin. Oh, that was fun. And again, Bayley and the New Day, solid gold. I love Bayley. Cesaro had a backstage interview, and this was great, because they always pump these interviews out so the crowd can hear them. And Cesaro at one point asked, "Does anybody out there like Sheamus?" And the crowd chanted no in response. It was fantastic. I just loved that. We had a big cast vignette. Then we had Sheamus versus Cesaro match 2 in the best of 7. Byron Saxton tries for an in-ring interview with Sheamus. Sheamus is getting the what treatment. Then there Sheamus sucks chants. This was a pretty good match. Sheamus got the win with the cloverleaf after he backdropped Cesaro into the ring post, which looked really brutal. They're playing up that Cesaro actually injured his spine. I'm not sure whether or not he has. I think it's a kayfabe injury, but I don't know. But, here's the thing. These two guys have good chemistry together. They have good matches. I'm just already kind of getting tired of it. Because Cesaro is the far more talented of the two. I really remember they had a back before Sheamus turned heel, and when Cesaro was a heel, they had a match for the U.S. Championship at some pay-per-view, and it was great. But I can't remember which one that was. Anyway, we got a Mr. Fuji vignette about his passing. Then we got the Kevin Owens vignette. And then we had Braun Strowman versus Americo. Saxton was in the ring to interview the Scrub. Yeah, I didn't pay attention to this. Who fucking cares? I mean, yeah, Braun Strowman murdered the guy, apparently pulled off his mask. I didn't watch. There was a Cruiserweight Classic vignette with interviews with Tommaso Ciampa, Cedric Alexander, Johnny Gargano. If we get to see Tommaso Ciampa, Cedric Alexander, and Johnny Gargano on Raw every week, this will make me a very happy man. All I'm saying. We got Stephanie McMahon in-ring promo. She's interrupted by Paul Heyman. And just Stephanie being Stephanie. God damn it, man. I mean, she plays the bitch really well, but she has to just cut everybody's balls off. No one ever gets her comeuppance on her. And finally, when someone does, it's going to be gold. But during this point, Paul Heyman said he was here to pay Brock Lesnar's $500 fine, and he pulls out this wad of $1 bills and starts throwing them at her. She wigs out, and Paul basically manipulates her, and it's it is what it is. It's just I'm sick of Stephanie promos. Excuse me. We had Finn Balor surgery highlights. Hopefully he will be doing well soon. Got the Roman Reigns vignette, the mighty Roman Reigns, yes. Titus O'Neil took on Darren Young. I have no idea what fucking happened because I didn't watch it, because I just do not give two shits about these guys. Mick Foley and Stephanie were backstage. Mick stated that all partners, friends, everyone should be banned from ringside. Seth Rollins comes in, joins them. Yay. But I do like the fact that people were banned from ringside. Then we get the main event. Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins versus Big Cass. Mick and Stephanie were at ringside with the belt. Really big boos for Roman Reigns. Big pop for Kevin Owens. Decent pop for Seth. Big pop for Cass and Enzo. Lots of how you doing chants. So here's how it went. This was, by the way, if you didn't see this was a great match. Cass was eliminated by Kevin Owens, and then it was down to the 3, and out of the middle of nowhere, Triple H shows up. He pedigrees Roman Reigns on the floor, rolls Reigns into the ring. Rollins gets the pin on him. So Reigns is eliminated. Triple H then attacks Rollins, and Kevin Owens wins the championship. But after the matches, Triple H is leaving, and Kevin Owens is still in the ring celebrating. Mick Foley and Stephanie both look really confused. Stephanie looks super pissed. She and Triple H just stare holes down each other's. And Triple H leaves, and there are very loud "You deserve it" chants to Kevin Owens as he's celebrating. So there's been a lot of controversy about this, that this is not about Kevin Owens and all about the McMahons. Well, unfortunately, at the end of the day with this fucking company, it's always about the McMahons. In some way, shape, or form, it always comes down to them. And that's irritating as hell. That having been said, I don't think this hurt Kevin Owens. He's a slimy heel. You know, he stabbed his best friend in the back when he debuted in NXT, so it fits his character. I think he will be a great champion. I think he's going to be a good fighting champion. Here are my hopes. My hope is that he holds this title at least through Royal Rumble, if not through WrestleMania. Probably not going to happen, but that's my hope. Also, my hope is that instead of doing some kind of authority angle, which has been done to death, that they have Triple H basically form a new Four Horsemen faction type thing, where he takes the role of James J. Dillon. And you could bring up maybe Hideo Itami, and the Revival would be, if in a perfect world, they would go and sign Adam Cole and the Young Bucks, and they would just bring in Mount Rushmore. That's not going to happen. For one thing, Adam Cole is the Ring of Honor World Champion, so that's not happening. But one can dream. Anyway, sorry, my cat is deciding to jump all over my computer area, and it's really irritating. Hissy. Anywho, but let's say you get Hideo Itami as a silent assassin, and you get the Revival as the brash tag team, and you have them the four of them just wreak havoc. Hell, have them win all the titles. You could have Itami, with his weight, he could be the Cruiserweight Champion, or you could make him the U.S. Champion. You could have the Revival just screw up, just fuck over everyone, become the tag team champions. That's the way I would do this. I think that would be awesome. And it would be unexpected. Because at this point, everyone is expecting a retread of, Triple H and Randy Orton, Triple H and Seth Rollins, that whole thing. Which we don't need. But the best news out of all of this is the main event was great. And Kevin Owens is the Universal Champion. How fucking cool is that? Now, let's go on to SmackDown. So, SmackDown opened up with highlights from the Miz-Daniel Bryan interaction from Talking Smack from the week before. We then had Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan backstage. Shane admonishing Daniel for getting in Miz's face and talking shit to him. Said that, look, you really owe Miz an apology. We then have Miz and Maurice heading out to the ring, all super pissed. And I will say, fired up, angry Miz is the best Miz. Because my opinion of Miz up to this point has been blah. Honestly, I think he kind of sucks. He's a good talker. He's a real good talker. But he's, mediocre in the ring. But I tell you what, that thing from Talking Smack from last week, and then this promo it gave me a new appreciation of the Miz. So yeah, the Miz is ranting. Dolph Ziggler comes out. Dolph calls Miz a coward, challenges him to a match. Basically says, "Look, you just want to be famous." Dolph challenges Miz to a fight. Not a match, just a fight. Miz walks off. Dolph calls him a coward. Miz comes back, but Maurice stops him, and they leave. So that's setting up for a Miz Ziggler feud that should be pretty interesting. We had the Hype Bros going against the Vaudevillains in the tag team tournament. Hype Bros win. I didn't actually watch this, not gonna lie. The Hype Bros did an in-ring interview. The Vaudevillains have become jobbers. And so the big downside that we've got right now to this brand split is the fact that, especially on SmackDown, the roster has very few people. And it has very talented people. But after a while, we're going to get sick of seeing the Hype Bros against the Vaudevillains, the Hype Bros against American Alpha, the Hype Bros against the Usos, the Hype Bros against Slater and Rhino, or whoever the fuck, the Headbangers. Because they're like a total of 6 tag teams. That's not really a division. We then get AJ Styles walking around backstage. He's wearing John Cena's armband as a headband, which is hilarious looking. He runs into Apollo Crews. They do something. Apollo's doing like some spelling gimmick now. I don't know. And basically says that, look, he's been granted a match against AJ Styles tonight. So that comes up later on. AJ has an in-ring promo, very loud AJ Styles chants. He is so over. Wearing that headband thing is great. Apollo Crews comes out. AJ gets mad. Apollo asks, "Are you mad?" When walking to the ring, this is when Apollo challenges AJ to the match. And the match is next. See, okay, I take notes as I'm watching this show, and I'm totally honest. I've really overall enjoyed Raw and SmackDown a lot more since the brand split. That having been said, a lot of this stuff leaves my mind as soon as I'm done watching it. If I didn't take notes, I wouldn't remember anything that fucking happened. And that's sad, but it's the truth. I got other shit going on, But I still enjoy it. And that's not to say that I don't enjoy these things. I just do. Just more often than not, there isn't anything that happens that just really sticks with you. Unlike in the Cruiserweight Classic, which we'll get to, which has had matches that have stuck with me and has had moments that have brought me to tears. So, but we'll get there. So we got AJ versus Apollo. Apollo keeps spelling shit I don't understand. It's a terrible gimmick. Styles got the win. It was a good match, but it was a bit sloppy. But still good. We then had Renee Young interviewing Heath Slater and Rhino at Heath Slater's trailer. And this was so great. They make Heath Slater look like such white trash. Rhino looks very strange in regular clothes, I gotta say. But he's sitting there eating crackers with Cheese Whiz, and it's hilarious. And there's this one moment where something sad is said, and they focus in on Rhino, and he's using Cheese Whiz, and he draws a frowny face on his cracker. It was great. We had Bray Wyatt in-ring promo. Randy Orton comes out, and here's the big takeaway from all of this: Randy Orton was wearing pants. Orton made a comment that he's been, said, "I've been damaged for a long time. It gives me most of my charm." I thought that was pretty funny. Bray challenges Orton to a match of Backlash, and Orton hits the ring, the lights go out, Bray disappears, they go to commercial. It was alright. I mean, I really like Bray Wyatt, but yeah, we had Natalya and Alexa Bliss versus Naomi and Becky Lynch. Nikki Bella was on commentary, and she is one vapid fucking woman. I tell you what. I'm sure she's nice, but Jesus Christ. Vapid AF. In the middle of the match, Carmella came out of nowhere and attacked Nikki. I like heelish, angry Carmella. That's much better than how you doing, Carmella. Alexa pinned Becky Lynch with a distraction roll-up. And so the takeaway from this, in my opinion, is two things. One, angry heel Carmella is great. Well, much better than babyface Carmella. Two, Becky Lynch is in a league of her own. She is on a different playing field. She's in a different stratosphere than these other women. And every time we have these matches, it just becomes more and more obvious. And yeah, you couldn't keep her on Raw because you needed some good talent on SmackDown. But my God, she is so much better than everyone else. So then we had me not remembering my sentences and words. We had a Headbangers vignette followed by a Kurt Hawkins vignette. Fucking why? Yeah. We did the Headbangers versus Heath Slater and Rhino. Headbangers looked old as fuck. There was this great part where there's this whole group of people in the audience that had these signs that say Heath's Kids. That was brilliant. Slater and Rhino win. Rhino got busted open big time in this match somehow. But, in a way, I'm kind of hoping Rhino and Heath Slater become the tag team champions. I think that would be fantastic. So it's main event time. AJ Styles comes out in commentary. The main event this week was Baron Corbin against Dean Ambrose. But before the match gets started, Gary the Milkman Millman is in the ring saying he was granted a match for tonight. He wants a match. He strips down to his underwear, his tighty whities. Kane comes out. As Kane's walking out, Millman is trying to put back on his clothes. Kane choke slams him. As Kane is leaving the ring, Baron Corbin's music hits and he comes out. They have a stare down in the walkway. And, I'm sure that's the next big program. Then we get Dean Ambrose comes out. Dean gets a really big pop. There's a DQ when During the match, AJ accidentally kicks Corbin in the face when he was going to kick Dean Ambrose. And the match after that, there's this moment where AJ's going for the phenomenal forearm. As he does it, Dean kicks out his leg and he gets crotched on the top rope. And then Dean just sits there, pats him on the shoulder, shakes his hand, and walks off. That was pretty funny. Apparently afterwards, AJ stayed there for like 10 minutes, just looking like he's in super pain, as the dark match main event people start coming out. And he sat there through like all those people coming to the ring. That's some selling right there. AJ Styles is the MVP of SmackDown by far. We then had some Talking Smack. This is a fun show. Daniel apologizes for last week, and he talked about being angry that he can't wrestle anymore, and that apparently he and Miz are going to be kept apart. He does announce that Miz versus Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental Championship will happen at Backlash. Heath Slater and Rhino and AJ Styles have interviews, and Daniel Bryan actually said TNA. That was the takeaway. Not as an explosive episode as last week, but not bad. So let's go on to TNA, or not TNA, Jesus, I don't watch that. NXT opens up with a backstage thing with the Doctor, Samoa Joe, and William Regal talking. Samoa Joe is apparently injured. The doctor says he won't clear him. Samoa Joe walks off angry. We then had Ty Dillinger against Buddy Murphy. Dillinger got the win. He was super fucking over. This was actually not a bad match. So then we get a Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa vignette. And after the vignette's over, we get Ciampa doing a backstage interview. As he's in the middle of the interview, the Revival come up to him, basically kind of get into his face. He attacks the Revival. The Revival then just attack him, take him out into the ring area, throw him on the commentary desk, throw him around, and just beat the utter piss out of this guy. Just all over the place. In the ring, eventually they hit the Shatter Machine. This was great. I mean, this was fantastic. The Revival cut a really good promo in the middle of it. The whole thing was fantastic. The Revival, best tag team in the world today. Love them. And Ciampa and Gargano, who wasn't there, but Ciampa is great. So we then had Steve Cutler against Kenneth Crawford. So takeaway from this is both Cutler and Crawford are generic as fuck. I mean, really, really bad. And just to illustrate this, at the very, very beginning of the match, you could hear someone in the crowd yell, "Who the hell are you?" Cutler got the win with a Fisherman's Michinoku driver. Yeah, it was. Hideo Itami had a backstage interview where he was pretty passionate, but he kept looking off kind of just to the right of the camera, or his right of the camera, or left, and it looked like he was reading cue cards. I was so distracted by him just staring. And so yeah. Then we had another Sanity little vignette, a TM61 vignette, and then we had No Way Jose versus Angelo Dawkins. This was a sloppy fucking match. Dawkins doing his whole stirring thing, which Corey Graves had a great comment. It was like, what's he stirring, cake batter? I thought that was hilarious. Jose got the win. It was pretty boring. We had Andrade Cien Almas doing a backstage interview. Austin Aries comes in and interrupts him. So during the exchange, Aries mentioned that Hideo Itami busted his eardrum and that he couldn't really hear out of one ear. Almas is getting pretty fired up and starts speaking in Spanish, and then eventually challenges Aries to a match. Aries says he can't hear and left. So yeah, I guess that's coming up. We then had Liv Morgan against Aaliyah. Liv won with a spin kick thing. And this match and the Cutler-Crawford match are what really show that NXT is in the middle of a rebuilding phase, which is fine. They lost a lot of people, and they need to rebuild. So, in the last time they built up, we got, Sasha and Bayley and Sami Zayn and all that, and so we got great stuff out of it. So we're going to get good stuff out of this. There was a No Way Jose backstage interview. He was interrupted by Bobby Roode, who looks Jose up and down and says, "Nice head," and then walks off. So it looks like Aries and Roode are flip-flopping opponents. So we'll see what happens. And we had Shinsuke Nakamura do an in-ring promo. Very, very loud Nakamura and "You Deserve It" chants. The crowd was super, super into Nakamura. So over. And I thought this was the best, promo that Nakamura's cut since being in NXT. Overall, pretty boring show. But, again, it's a transition time, and we'll see what happens. Now, what wasn't a boring show was the Cruiserweight Classic. Holy shit, this was awesome. There was an opening vignette highlighting the 8 remaining quarterfinalists. Corey Graves did the whole thing with the brackets. And you know what? Between his stuff on Raw and NXT and here, Corey Graves is fantastic. I just can't say enough. Akira Tozawa and Gran Metalik were the first match up, and this was fantastic. This got a fight forever chant, which, not many of those have happened. I can think of the Cedric Alexander Kota Ibushi match, Sami Zayn and Nakamura. This, I'm sure there have been a few others, but Metalik got the win after just... It was just awesome. He hit his version of the Michinoku driver, which is another kind of fisherman's type version of it, and it's called the Metalik driver. And this match was great. I mean, great fucking match. You need to watch this entire episode of the Cruiserweight Classic, because as great as that match was, we then had Brian Kendrick versus Kota Ibushi. And this was phenomenal. The build that they did before with the vignettes, the whole match. There was a moment where Ibushi was standing on the middle rope, and Kendrick was on the outside of the ring, and he grabs Kendrick and gave him a German release suplex from the second rope, from outside of the ring into the ring. I mean... Who the fuck does that? but more than that, and the part that just had me jumping, Brian Kendrick, he used fucking Burning Hammer, and not like the wussed out version, not the Burning Hammer that Michael Elgin uses in Ring of Honor, which is basically an AA, but with from a torture rack position instead of a fireman's carry. No, this was the Burning Hammer. He dropped Ibushi on his fucking head, and it was great. Oh my god, I loved it. I love that move. The only problem with that is it wasn't the finish. How in the name of hell do you get up from that? Does anyone get up from that? Ibushi eventually got the win. He was able to hit his powerbomb, and this was great. After the match, there were very loud "Thank you, Brian" chants. Brian Kendrick is getting all emotional. He's weeping. Daniel Bryan comes into the ring. He's crying. They hug. Daniel Bryan raises Kendrick's hand. I am in tears at this point, like crazy. This was amazing. This show, what they did in this is what professional wrestling is all about. And what I love about the Cruiserweight Classic and to some extent NXT is, but especially the Cruiserweight Classic, is this is indie fucking wrestling. These are these guys being brought in and basically told, here's the camera, do your shit. And it's unreal. I mean, I'm going to be so sad when this thing ends, but this has been incredible. Yeah, so easily the show of the week, Cruiserweight Classic. You got to go watch it. And I was able to, real quick, watch Ring of Honor this week, at least the one that was on Ring of Honor's website as of yesterday. So that one had Matt Taven on commentary. They've been using him a lot on commentary, which I think is good. He's still, he fucked up his knee big time, and he's a good talker. So yeah, put him on commentary so he can earn his paycheck. The opening match was Shane Taylor and Keith Lee against War Machine. Shane Taylor and Keith Lee, humongous fucking guys, humongous. And one of them, I couldn't, it was hard for me to keep track of who was who. They were pretty athletic, but they also were pretty slow. Taylor and Lee got the win. Wasn't bad. We then had a fatal four-way match, and I kind of got a little confused at who the hell was in this. Mostly, the big star of this was Cheeseburger. Joey Diesel Daddiego was in it. Some dude named David Starr. Some dude named Tim Hughes. Brutal Bob Evans was at ringside. But the whole point of this match, it was a setup. BJ Whitmer comes down. He's got eyeliner on, dark shit under his eyes, and a black X on his forehead. He gets on commentary, and he's just talking nonsense. But the best part about this is so they do a shot of the commentary team, and you see BJ looking crazy, and Matt Taven leans over to Kevin Kelly and kind of whispers in his ear, "Hey Kevin, what's wrong with BJ?" It was hilarious. That was great. So while this is going on, the match is going on, and the match is fucking horrible. The lights go out, a vignette with Whitmer, Kevin Sullivan, and some dude who I didn't recognize at the time goes on. The lights come back up, and Punisher Martinez is in the ring, and he cleans house, and then he and Whitmer stand victorious. So the whole point of this was for Punisher Martinez to come out and kill people. We then had the Young Bucks doing a backstage promo. They're talking about how they're going to get the tag team titles again. We then had the Cabinet, which is Rhett Titus, Kenny King, and Caprice Coleman against Dalton Castle and the Boys. There was very, very loud Dalton Castle chants, followed with people then chanting "and the Boys." The Cabinet won. I don't remember much about this match. And then the main event, then there was an Adam Cole backstage promo talking about Kyle O'Reilly, and he's pissed about that. So I guess we're going to get another Adam Cole-Kyle O'Reilly feud. And then we have the Addiction versus Young Bucks for the tag titles. Veda Scott came down on commentary. The Addiction got the win, though I admit, yesterday when I was watching this, I was really tired, and I dozed off. Not because the match was bad, just because I was freaking tired. So yeah, I'm suspecting it was a good match. Both these teams can go. But that was Ring of Honor. So, that brings us to Rolling Stone Magazine's Golden Age of Wrestling Podcasts. 18 you need to follow. Now, this caused quite a bit of a stir in the wrestling world. Oh, and also apparently CM Punk and Colt Cabana aren't friends anymore. But I haven't really been following that story. But there was... So, the podcasts I listen to, Wrestling Soup talked about this. Voices of Wrestling, the flagship show, talked about this. and Monster Sounds Off talked about it. I have a feeling tonight Don Tony and Kevin Castle will talk about it. But Wrestling Soup mentioned that a lot of the shows on this list are shows that are either people who are employed by radio or terrestrial media or are getting paid to do this, so they have a hard time considering those podcasts. The Monster basically talked about how he was happy to be on the list, and also shouted out Don Tony and Kevin Castle, congratulating them for being on there. And then the Voices of Wrestling guys were a little salty. Even though they say, well, we know why we're not on here, but they apparently don't know who Kevin Castle and Don Tony are. So it'll be interesting to see if anyone, sent those clips to Don Tony and Kevin Castle and see if they'll respond, which I will have to listen to the Don Tony and Kevin Castle show this week to see if they do respond. I listen to a lot of wrestling podcasts, and I've probably mentioned this before, but every week there are 4 that I listen to, if not all the way through, a good chunk of every week. Monster Sounds Off, Wrestling Soup, Shake Them Ropes, and the Voices of Wrestling flagship show. And also, depending on my mood, I'll listen to Don Tony and Kevin Castle. So I listen to pretty regularly 5. I will listen to Sam Roberts if he's got someone on there for the interview that I think looks interesting. Same with Colt Cabana. But I don't really listen to Jericho. I don't listen to Steve Austin. His is pretty fucking awful. But here's what Rolling Stone had to say. So, and this was in no particular order. So we've got The Art of Wrestling with Colt Cabana, which, this is, if you really like interviews, this is a great one to listen to. Talk is Jericho. Then we have Cheap Heat. I've heard this one's good. I've never actually listened to it, though. Because really, Jesus Christ, am I going to spend my entire waking life listening to wrestling podcasts and watching wrestling? I love wrestling, man. I love the things I'm passionate about, punk rock, pro wrestling, and comic books. But I can't let one overpower the other two. Plus, I got kids and stuff. The next one was the 2-man power trip of wrestling. This one is one I do not know about. The Chad Dukes Wrestling Show. This one is actually on terrestrial radio, apparently. I've never listened to this one either. Sam Roberts Wrestling Podcast. This one's actually pretty good, depending on who he's got on as guest. We then have the Taz Show, the Steve Austin Show, which is pretty fucking awful, Don Tony and Kevin Castle, the Ross Report, which I should probably listen to, but I don't. Monster Sounds Off, my total favorite. Keeping It 100 with Conan, that one's supposed to be pretty good. I need to check that one out sometime. The Kevin Gill Show, I don't know, never heard of that one, but the fact that he's wearing a Insane Clown Posse emblem, fucking juggalos. Then we've got the VIP Lounge with MVP, and Clobberin' Time, the next one. We have the Jim Cornette Experience. That's one I should probably listen to. He kind of cracks me up. Squared Circle Pit. Never heard of that one either. And then the PW Torch. Pro Torch Wrestling. So, So, most of this list is pretty... You're gonna have a mainstream publication do a list of podcasts, and there are gonna be some given. Steve Austin's gonna be on there, JR, Jericho, Taz, Sam Roberts. Those guys are all gonna be on there. Colt Cabana should definitely be on there. It's nice to see Monster listed and Don Tony and Kevin Castle. They both do really good shows. So that is that. So big announcement starting next week. We're going to be recording the shows on Sunday, And I'm going to have a co-host, my good friend Floyd Johnson, who met back in the day when we were working at a call center together, telephone company at the time. He's going to be joining me. He's a lifelong wrestling fan. He goes to all sorts of events. How this fool has money to do this stuff, I don't know. I'm going to have to ask him, find out what he does now, because he obviously has more money than I do. So he's going to be joining us starting next week, and I'm looking forward to that. I've really enjoyed the times when I've had a guest host, our former guest host, Jason Blackwood, who we will, again, have back on at some point whenever schedules do line up. So I'm looking forward to it. You can follow the show on the social medias. The handle for pretty much most of them out there, it's Around the Ring OK. You can send us an email, aroundtheringok@gmail.com, and follow us on iTunes. You can get us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, all the great stuff. So thanks for listening. Hope everyone has a great Labor Day and has a good week. And as Jerry Springer always says, take care of yourselves and each other.
You've been listening to Around the Ring on the Spark Radio Network.
All you have to do is change your point of view. And believe.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. Damn! Woo!
This sucks more than anything that I've ever sucked before.
What? It's for charity.